All right, how's everybody doing? Today we have a special guest today. We have Rachel today. And Rachel is a high school teacher. So today we're going to talk about why she became a teacher and the do's and don'ts of it. Rachel, can you tell us why you became a teacher?
I became a teacher because when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I had social studies teachers that made me fall in love with the subjects that they were teaching. They, even years later, the impact that they left on me made a difference. And when I was going into a different field and my mom passed away, my grades dropped and I had to think about a plan B option. And so when that plan B option happened, they were like, what else would you love to do? And I said, well, the only other thing I truly love is history and social studies. So let's go with that. And so I started my alternative certification. They looked at my credits and what I had, and I needed 39 hours to graduate. And so I managed to pull that off in 2 semesters. I took an 18-hour semester and then got approval for a 21-hour semester because teachers get hired in August. They don't get hired in December. So I didn't need 3 semesters, and I needed to work. I had 3 kids. It was time.
Yeah. And what call it, when you guys teacher, you guys work only between like August and
So I go
June?
back to, for example, I go back to work August 1st, and then we go through that Wednesday or Thursday before Memorial Day. So June and July is my time. But teachers go back August 1st, and I think we start school August 14th this year, 13th or 14th, one of the 2 days.
So during summer, you're off pretty much during summer?
Yes. This is the first year in 3 years I haven't worked summer school or wrote curriculum during the summer because I decided I wanted the full 2 months.
Yeah, but that's extra pay though for you.
Oh,
right?
It's really good extra pay.
Okay.
But due to life chaos this year, I chose not to do that. But usually I jump on it because on top of my current income, working curriculum or summer school for that 4 weeks is an additional income on top because that's not included in our teacher salary. Because we work 9 months, but we get paid throughout a 12-month period.
Yeah.
So that way we still get paychecks through the summer. So that's how they do that.
Yeah.
I don't know of any districts that just pay on a 9-month scale, but both districts I've worked for pay on a 12-month.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like I go back to work August 1st, and then school starts the 13th or 14th.
Yeah.
We have 2 weeks of training, setting up classrooms, lesson planning, just getting in the groove of things for how things change each year, what new policies we have, new administration, just different things.
And you said you go to high school, right? 10th grade, right?
Yes, I primarily teach 10th grade world history, and I teach one section of 10th to 12th graders that need world geography as an elective or an additional social studies credit.
So how are the kids nowadays compared to our generation?
They're a lot. So
they're stuck in the phone constantly. I don't know how that works.
I went to school. I remember in high school when cell phones first came out. My dad got the first Nokia phone, so that was crazy. But these kids, it's their lifeline. Like, they can't do anything unless like their phone is in front of them. Like, if you tell them to put their phone off their desk,
they have
you've got a whole lot of
anxiety.
work. Like, I have a rule: you can set your phone on your desk, just don't touch it. Just leave it alone, unless we have something that we can use the phone. But I like to incorporate the phone, or if they're doing independent work, I'll let them put one earbud in and listen to music while they're working to keep them focused, not distracted.
Yeah.
But if you tell them to put their phone where you can't see it, they just can't function.
Anxiety or something.
They want to make TikToks. They want to prop their phone up on your board and make TikToks when they're done with their work.
Yeah.
Or just, no, Miss Simmons, make a TikTok with me. I'm not making a TikTok with you. I get asked that weekly. But it's become a lifeline. Like, your phone is everything now. But my generation, there wasn't cell phones.
Yeah, I still remember in my generation we had the beepers, you know.
I remember pagers. I didn't have a pager, but I sure knew how to call my friends that had a pager.
Yeah, you had to know. You had to know the special dial number or whatever, so you could get messages through. Or whatever.
So I remember begging my mom for my own landline in my room and her telling me no. But my cousin had one, so it was tragic because we were the same age, and her twin sister. My mom and her sister were twins, and I couldn't have a phone, and I was older, but my cousin could, so I didn't like that.
Yeah.
My mom didn't care. But this generation, I've noticed, I've been teaching since 2016, fall of 2016. And
In all high school or
yes,
different?
I taught 12th graders my first year. That was a whole piece of work because senioritis kicks in January, and they're done. It's like a whole fight to get them to work for you in the spring semester.
Yeah, but they're ready to get out of school.
They're done.
Yeah.
They've already shut down on you. And I was government and economics is one semester courses. So I'm like, you have to have this class to graduate. But it's literally like pulling teeth to get anything accomplished. 10th graders, it's not so much because that's a whole year course. But I've noticed a difference in the first few years teaching versus the post-COVID teaching. Because these kids, when COVID hit spring break, a lot of the kids, we went Zoom, but there was kids not participating, or I would see this much of my students, like just their forehead and their ceiling, or hear them snoring with their cameras on,
Yeah.
not doing anything. But it was the last 6 weeks of school, 10 weeks of school. And it's just like trying to figure out how to adapt learning from an in-classroom setting. And then the following year, where I was working, we had students in person and students on Zoom at the same time. So I'd have like 6 to 10 kids in the classroom and anywhere from 10 to 50 kids in a Zoom. Because if another teacher was out, they would just throw them in our Zoom link.
Yeah.
And so trying to teach to the computer versus the kids that were in the classroom, that became really complicated.
Yeah.
And then,
Do you think it hurt probably the kids,
I
learning
think,
wise?
I think the kids have suffered a lot from it because looking at,
Especially
I
the
teach 10th
younger ones
graders.
too, huh?
So the kids that just graduated were 8th graders when COVID hit,
Okay.
that just graduated this past May. And they missed out on a lot of stuff. So their whole high school was post-COVID. But they missed out on these crucial adaptations from middle school to high school. The disciplinary issues are increased. The paperwork that Texas has put on us for accountability and showing where the gaps are, that's a lot that's been put on teachers. We've had a lot of issues with teachers leaving the field after years and years of experience, have a hard time getting substitutes. And
you could be a substitute if you have a certain amount of college credits, right?
A certain amount of college credits. There's a lot. The pay scale is different based on if you're a certified teacher, you can make more as a sub. The district I work for goes strictly through Kelly Services for their subs. But it's just, it's all over the place. But a lot of times we don't know till the morning of that we're not going to have a teacher. And then we have to figure out where these students are going to go. I've seen a lot of students end up in gyms and going through all that, not getting instruction if they're because there's just not adult bodies to teach the student.
Yeah.
And it's just because teacher shortages on top of life happening and the illnesses and still having issues with COVID even to this day. COVID's not going anywhere. It's like the flu. We're
Yeah, it's the
stuck
flu
with it.
now. Well, that's what the CDC says, treat it as the flu.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I've had it twice, and first time was bad, second time wasn't bad, but then I've had sinus infections and the flu that were worse than COVID. So
Yeah.
you never know. But it's just trying to get these kids that are struggling academically and behaviorally because they haven't had that structure through these crucial years, that it puts a burden on the teachers. And big thing we talk about right now is teacher burnout. We're just tired.
Oh, I bet. How
Like-
many kids you guys have to teach?
So my classes typically, I have one class period that's usually about 5 to 8 students that I have every year, and we're on block scheduling, so those I see every day. But my split schedule classes are anywhere from, I'd say, 18 to 26.
Mhm.
My class sizes aren't huge, but it's just trying to keep them moving. There's not a desire to learn right now in this age group.
Yeah.
Like this generation is more worried about, I can look it up. I can deal with that. I don't have to worry about anything else. I can
Yeah, I got
just...
my phone here. I'll Google it.
Yeah, and you'll see them. You give them an assignment, you'll see them sneak in their phone, and they copy and paste, different things, and it's different fonts, different sizes. We're not stupid. We know you're copying. You just have to figure out how to balance all of that.
Yeah, especially with Chat GPT. I don't know if you used that already, where you could just go in there and just the AI. Have you used it?
No, but my 19-year-old uses the Meta AI a lot, and she loves it. But she uses it to send text messages and emails, and I'm like, what is that? And she's like, no, my AI. I tell them I want to talk about this, and it's like 5 words, but they give me this whole paragraph that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? She's like, look, and she shows me, and I'm like,
On Instagram too, you could tell them, hey, show me a picture of this car, color red, at this setting.
my
Yeah,
11-year-old knows more about technology than I do.
Yeah, which I think is
And I don't
wow.
think I don't think I'm technologically very behind. But the technology in the classrooms, I'll bring her on a teacher work day, and she'll be like, "Oh, Mom, this, and this is how you use this." We have these big interactive TVs, and she was like, "Look, Mom, it does this, and I'm like, "Where is that? Like, how did you do that?"
Yeah.
And that's an hour of playing in my classroom while I'm setting up desks.
Yeah.
And she's done figured out this $6,000 piece of equipment that's in my classroom that I have no clue how to use.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Yeah, this is how you do it, Mom." But we call them the iPad babies, is how we refer to it. And these kids are just dependent on their phones and
Yeah.
their tablets. Seeing the toddlers that have to have a screen in front of them, looking at, because I have, my cousin's kids are young, and I'm like, I wonder what they're going to look like in 12 years when they're going through my classrooms and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Because I know when we were young, I used to
read books. I used to crawl up in my bed and read
Read books
books
or-
and play with toys and play outside.
ride
and
bikes out there out in the
you
neighborhood.
can't let your kids ride bikes, though. It's not safe.
Well, nowadays, I guess. But back then, we used to ride bikes all the time.
I live in a small town about 30 minutes from here, and I used to ride my bike from one side of town to the other to my uncle's house, crossing the main highway on the way to the beach. Like, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
I knew safety, and I knew where I was going. Now, I won't even let my 11-year-old ride around the block on her bicycle where I can't see her because I don't trust people.
Yeah.
People are driving stupid. Trafficking is a problem. Drugs have become a problem in the schools. Like, I'm just like, it's insane what I've witnessed, the violence and the drugs, and just like, where I grew up, I didn't experience that.
Yeah.
Like the fighting, the gang activity, the drugs, like vapes that are laced. Like, these kids will break out vapes in a classroom and hit it, and you see the cloud of smoke, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
We're doing this?
Yeah. Now, when I went to school, in TJ, whatever, it's not TJ no more, but
It's a middle school now, but yeah.
yeah. But back in the day, it was a high school, right? And
Mhm.
it was constantly fighting all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I guess I didn't go to school in the same demographic, so what I'm seeing isn't what I'm used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I went to school in Baytown, I went to school in Alabama, I went to school in Winnie and Hampshire Finette. So the schools I went to, there wasn't a lot of that.
Mhm.
It was a little bit, but it was the rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas a day without fights is the rare now.
Yeah.
2 years ago, there was a situation for I think it was a 2-week period, 11 school days. We had anywhere from 5 to 8 fights a day on one campus.
Yeah, I remember one time in the TJ, there was a big cafeteria fight that actually made headline news. I forgot if it was statewide or if it was
That's crazy.
national. That's how bad it was.
Robin, your school made national news for fighting?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was all funny because a lot of times it was like the Mexicans, there were like one group would get a fight with the other group.
That's what we deal with right now. We have the Hispanic population and the African American population that tend to butt heads with each other. And I've witnessed the verbal disputes in the classroom and try to nip that in the bud and prevent it from happening. But to find out that an hour later there was a knockdown, drag-out fight over, it was the same kids that I had an hour ago.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I don't jump in the middle of fights. I mean, there's been a couple girls that have gotten fights that I knew them, and after the fight was broke up, I would go get nose to nose with one of them to try to get them in the office because I've discovered that building the relationships and the respect with my students, I know that I don't have to worry about my kids.
Mm-hmm.
The kids that I have relationships with, I know I can go right there and tell them, hey, it's me, let's go, and they'll do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because my kids know they can come to me with issues that they're dealing with outside of school. I've discovered that building those connections and relationships, and my kids know that once they graduate, they can reach out to me on social media to reach out to me for recommendations and advice, and that I'm there for them after they're done with school. And when they're having kids and they're showing me and having those connections with the kids. But I have students that call me mom. Like they just, the connections that I build with them stick with it. I have kids from the class of 2017 in Orange, where I taught my first year, that still, I got a random Facebook message right after my husband passed away last year. And he was like, I just wanted you to know that you made an impact on me and were one of the most influential teachers that I ever encountered.
Yeah, that's
and I
good.
was just like, wow. But I also, this is a kid that I remember saying, if I let him put on his noise cancellation headphones and listen to music while he's doing what he's doing, he could take over the world.
Mm-hmm.
This kid, if he tuned out the noise, he had the potential. And he was in honors classes. He was an athlete in football, and he's in college playing football now. I still keep up with him. And just knowing that these kids have the potential, they just need somebody to show them that they have it.
Yeah.
And the stereotype and the issues that they have, especially currently. And I don't blame people for the stereotype because I see it day to day. But at the same time, these kids are more than the stereotype.
Yeah.
And so...
And there's a small group who always cause the problem too.
Yeah.
It's not all of them.
But when you hang out with the kids that cause the problems, then you're automatically associated with those kids.
Yep.
And that's like, I tell them, like, if you hang out with these people that are making dumb decisions, then you're going to get in trouble. If you're walking the halls with somebody that's doing dumb stuff, guess what? You're going to get suspended too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to shut up when they tell you, hey, where are you supposed to be? You're going to mouth off and get an attitude because you don't like people talking to you like that. But guess what? If you stayed in class and didn't leave with the person causing trouble, you wouldn't be in trouble with them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. But does that stop them? No, not really.
Mm-hmm.
They just, the puberty and they don't feel like they're wrong. Like they feel like, it feels like the world's owed to them is the kind of the mentality I get from this generation.
Yeah, because they were just given everything they wanted when they were little.
And,
Probably.
And a lot of these kids progressed post-COVID because it's not something that's happened since the situations that we dealt with COVID haven't been dealt with since the Spanish influenza. So when the flu first came out, that was a whole nother time frame. We weren't in this academic level that we are now, and so these kids miss out on huge gaps. And so these kids are pushed through the system, and they're pushed forward grade-wise, and then they're so far behind that in some situations, not all of them, but some, that they're like, how do they get to that point of catching up?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you teach to those few kids that you have versus the ones that are on point or the ones that are, it's just, I've seen the progression over the last few years, how it's changed over the last 4.5, 5 years. Like, it's different. I didn't used to get burnout teaching, but the last 2 years, I'm just like, it's a struggle to find the positive in the days some days. But ultimately, if you have that one or two kids that you know when you walk away, watch them walk across that stage, and you're like, okay, I made that impact on that kid.
Yeah.
When they come up to me after graduation and want to take pictures with me and tell me what I did for them, and it's like, maybe it was worth it. Granted, that was 2 years ago I taught that student, but that kid would come and check on me every day or every week if they were passing my classroom. Like, it was just something that they followed through. And so I'm like, well, if I've made that impact, then maybe I'm doing something right.
Yeah. So my other question is, how's the testing now to graduate? And back then it was called a TOS test.
All right, so now we have the STAR test, and now we're calling it the STAR 2.0. So for high school, you have to pass Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, English 2, and U.S. History. Those are the 5 tested subjects that you have to pass to graduate. I teach world history, so I'm not in a tested subject, but we tend to work as a team to help with getting prepared for the tests, and we'll help with the U.S. history teachers.
So you said that's 5 subjects, right?
Yeah.
I think back when the TOS test was just reading, writing, math, right?
In most situations, you take algebra, biology, and English 1 in your freshman year. Mm-hmm. You take 3 tests freshman year. And then English 2 is 10th grade, and then U.S. history is in 11th grade. So, and we have a lot of retakes for those 3 subjects in the later grades, even in the junior and senior year. But last year, the test changed, and it's no longer just multiple choice. Now there is constructive responses to where you have to write 2 to 5 sentences or a paragraph or drag and drop, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
They've changed the test up for all the subjects, which takes away the guessing meter for the kids, but it's also caused test scores to drop because these kids are actually having to reproduce answers, like construct their own answers for these questions. Writing a few sentences, answering a question versus A, B, C, or D.
Yeah, so they made it more, almost like college-like kind of testing.
More interactive, less guessing. It's harder to guess. You can't fill in the blank. You can't guess. You can, but
Yeah.
there's not a random click of a button. Because
Yeah.
I've literally seen kids walk into a STAR test, sit down, go to sleep for 2 hours, wake up, and in 5 minutes click through all 60-something or 30-something, whatever the test has, click it. Oh, I'm done. Can you help me close out my test? Like, okay. You took 5 minutes. You've slept for 2 hours. It's all right. I got it. All right.
Did it pass?
No, never. But I've never seen a kid that did that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But it's created a lot of issues as far as looking at data and stuff like that to see what the kids actually know, because they're either skipping those questions if they don't know the answer, they're just not answering them.
Yeah.
And I've on testing throughout the year, that because we've started to make our end of unit test based like how the STAR is that they'll put IDK, like
Yeah.
text talk, IDK,
Yeah.
or I have no clue or something. I'm like, I can't give you points for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe some of the kids probably don't have the drive to
Motivation and drive is definitely a problem.
And then also maybe they're thinking, maybe, okay, what do I need this? Maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to be a YouTuber. Maybe I want to be a podcaster. Maybe I want to be a TikToker.
Famous, yes.
Pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, that may work out for some people. But,
It will, but I'm
majority of people is going to fail.
But it's like I tell them, I'm like, you can go for that, but you need an education in case. I was like, if nothing else, if you're going to say, I gave one girl an example, like, if you want to be TikTok famous, that's awesome. I said, but what if you went to school for business to where you knew how to manage the money that you get from this, to where when you stop making TikToks, you're still okay while you figure out a plan B. Like, you got to think outside the box. What if, yes, that's awesome if that works, but what if you have to do something different?
Yeah.
What if your content's not just what, like, you got to think about that.
Yeah. And I think certain things you want to go for school is certain subjects. I think I want to say careers. Like I told my son, if you want to go to college, it better be something for like engineer, doctor, lawyer, even as a teacher, because you have to know how to probably, well, first of all, probably manage kids, you know. That's one thing.
We can try.
Yeah, try.
But
they give you
think about it this way, Ruben. So when you're looking at the attention span of these kids, think about a reel or a TikTok. It's 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe a minute or two. That is literally the attention span that these kids have.
Yeah.
So you have to chunk the information to them, and you can only talk to them for so long before they've shut you out.
Yeah.
And then you have to in a block schedule 75-minute class, it's hard because you have to chunk it in less than 5-minute sections, because after 2 minutes they're moved on to something else. Like you've lost their attention.
Yeah.
Because Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, all of these social media, YouTube, they've all made it to where their attention span is the length of a song.
Yeah.
Think about it like that.
Yeah. And then maybe some of the kids already know that they don't want to like go to college and stuff like that, so they're not worried about high school and stuff like that. They probably want to go be a plumber, which is not bad.
Or you'll tell them, hey, my uncle works in the plant, I don't need any of this.
Yeah, or a welder. They make good money, you know. So
yeah, and that's awesome for these kids. My oldest is 20, and I would have bet money he would have been my kid not to go to college. But he teaches jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is his whole life. Well, he just hit me 6 months ago with, I think I'm going to go to school and get my certification for industrial mechanic. And I'm like, where did this come from? This is my kid with dyslexia that struggled through school, barely graduated. Mm-hmm. And he just hit me with, this is what I want to do. And I'm like,
industrial mechanic, engineer? industrial engineer?
No, the mechanic, just the, like in the refineries, kind of like instrumentation,
Oh,
but
okay,
the
okay.
industrial mechanics
Oh,
side of things, kind of like
from
that.
LIT, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And then my daughter's going for radiology tech, who's about to have a baby. That's what she wants to do. And my 11-year-old has like 20 different career choices right now. We haven't really narrowed it down. She wants to be a professional wrestler, a singer, a doctor, a vet, a teacher. Like there's
Hey,
just
just,
everything.
just let her try, you know what I mean? But
I'm like, we'll figure it out.
yeah, because like my son, he's not going to college right now, but I think he said he might start going to try it out. So, okay.
But it's not even, we're also at a point where it's not necessary to go to college
Yeah, exactly.
for everything.
Yeah.
Trade school's good, going into the workforce. Like I have twins that I taught this year that graduated. One's going to school for football. I don't remember exactly what he said he's going to major in, but his brother's going straight into working in the field with his uncle. And just, they chose two different paths. And I'm like, as long as you stay motivated on that path, then that's awesome. Just sitting at home playing video games isn't the solution. And they're like, well, what's wrong with video games? I'm like, nothing, I play video games.
Well, unless they want to be a gamer, you know, if it's some of those, if you could get into a league and get paid.
Look, I just bought college
yeah.
football and Madden, the deluxe edition, like the combine thing. So I play my video games. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I can't go a day without, like I play almost every day, but it's not the whole life. Like you have.
Yeah, you got to pay like, what, 30 minutes an hour maybe, and then.
I don't go to bed early, so
Yeah.
I play.
Oh, okay.
I have a 99 overall team on Madden.
Oh.
I'm monstrous. But I love video games, and I play all different video games, but it's just, I'm not against that. And when my male students realize when I say something, they're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, I have that player on Madden. They're like, what? It's a connection that I make with the kids. They're like, what? And I'll pull up my PlayStation app and show them my players on my Ultimate Team, and they're like, how'd you get that? It's called grinding out the challenges.
Yeah.
But it's a connection that I have with students that they don't expect. They're like, you have a PS5? I'm like, yeah, I scored it day one edition.
Oh, you're actually cool.
Like, I literally scored a PS5 day one launch.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Walmart's 4th release that day, I got one.
I still have, man. Well, the last one I had was a PS4. I ended up giving that to my son, so I still have my old PS3. I haven't decided to get PS5.
You're a little behind the times, Ruben.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got my Xbox there, Xbox One, but yeah.
I went from Xbox to PS4, and then...
I think PS got more better games, I want to say.
Well, I mean, the only thing that Xbox has that PlayStation doesn't have is Halo, so...
Yeah.
Everything else you can get on PlayStation, but I'm a Red Dead Redemption 2 person, and I like Madden, and this is the first college football game we've had in 10 years. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of different, but yeah. I mean, I play Assassin's Creed. I play all that. I'm not your average teacher.
Yeah, yeah. You're a cool teacher.
Well, I met you through fantasy football, so.
Yeah, true. And what kind of tips can you give to any of the viewers out there if they wanted to be a teacher?
If you decide to be a teacher, it's got to be something that you really want. If you're looking for something that's low stress and you're going to have to pour your whole heart and soul into this, you have to want to make a difference to these kids. Like, they need to know, especially in certain districts, that some don't have the support at home. They need to know that it's safe and that you care. Like, I just left a training before I came here, and it talks about the power of caring. A kid's not going to care what you know until they know that you care.
Yeah.
And that sentence has stuck by me. I saw a TED Talk a few years ago, and it has literally stuck with me. You have to earn the care and respect of the kids, and they have to know that they mean the world to you, and then they'll give you their all.
Yeah.
My first year teaching, I learned that the hard way. They kept asking, go to my football game, come watch me marching band, let's come watch my softball game. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I had some kids that I had a lot of problems with. When they saw me standing on that fence line next to the track, when they walked out on the field and saw that I was there, and that when they walked off the field at the end of the game, I was still there, those behavioral issues instantly cut out.
Yeah.
Because they saw that what was important to them became important to me.
Yeah.
And
they saw that you were really trying to have a connection with them.
But I cared about them, and then the next week, and it can be just the show up and support, or when you live in Port Neches Groves and you work in Port Arthur and your 10th graders are talking rivalry, that preseason game every year. This is the first year, my whole year all my years teaching, that PA and PNG don't play each other first week preseason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a different preseason game. So I don't know who PNG's playing, but Port Arthur's not playing PNG this year. And so I had these 10th graders all week long talking crap. And I'm like, okay, who best team wins? And my daughter was a freshman cheerleader at PNG at this time when I was teaching at the early college high school in Port Arthur. And so PNG won that game. I was at the game, PNG won. I went to Ross that weekend, and I had a lot of red and just other colors. So I went and bought, like, not even a PNG purple shirt, but just a different color purple shirt with, like, flowers on it. Wore it to school on Monday, didn't say a word. These two kids that had been talking crap all week stopped at my door, and they're like, no, that's not cool. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, playing like I didn't know. They're like, you did not wear purple in the last month and a half of school, but today you're going to wear purple? No, ma'am. But 2 years later, they were still making jokes about it. But it creates the connection with the kids, the banter, the back and forth, because I can handle the sarcasm, and I get so used to saying language every day because the profanity is through the roof. And I'm like, you're not at home, you're at school. Can we, like, try to cut it back a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not that super strict. If you say it, like, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to let it disrupt my day. But I'll be like, language, really? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, but
just pretend you're at work. Like,
but you also have to pick your battles. If you pick battles over little things, then you've lost the classroom.
Yeah.
Save that for the big problems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let a fight break out of my classroom, but if somebody says a cuss word, I'm going to be like, really? And keep going. Like, I'll be like, hey, and they know. And it's just, you got to keep it moving. Because as soon as you pick a fight with the wrong student and be like, and make it a big deal, I'm going to write you up over saying a cuss word, then you've got a whole dispute going on. So it's just like, you set your expectations and you maintain your expectations. But with this generation, pick your battles. And you'll notice a difference. Because they're like, it's not a scene. Because some teachers still do cause scenes. Kick them out of the class for one cuss word.
Yeah.
Or for putting their head down on their desk. Well, you don't know if those kids didn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
So
they might be working. You know?
Yeah, some of them take care of their siblings and are late to school every day because they have to drop their siblings off at school. And it's like, so you have to ask those things and see, okay, what's going on? Well, I was up till 2 o'clock playing video games. Well, you need to get up. That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
And if a kid tells me that they're dealing with stuff, I'll follow up with the parents. Hey, is this what's going on? Yeah, this is because I work these hours. This is what has to happen. Okay, well, we need to try to find a medium here, but I'll be a little flexible. Because if you communicate, then I can work with the situation.
Yeah.
And so I try, and because of that, kids that I teach 10th grade, but I'll have seniors come to me because they're having an issue with another teacher, like, hey, you need to be respectful no matter what. But what's going on, they'll tell me. Sometimes I'll talk to the other teachers, see if there's a way for them to understand the situation. And sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. But my kids know that my classroom's a safe spot. And that's just one thing I've learned that works for me is create a safe space for kids. That's the one thing kids need. They need to know that they're loved, they're cared for, and they're safe.
Mm-hmm. Last question I was going to ask you. How can you be a sub, and can you sub like only certain days, or is it just where you have to be on call?
So I know, for example, the way East Chambers works, they have an app that you can go in and look at every day, and you can pick the days you want to sub if there's a long-term position. Port Arthur uses Kelly Services, so you can sign up to Kelly Services, pick up the job. Like, if I need a sub, I'll go into the app and I'll put in, hey, I need a sub for this day.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll notify me if a teacher picks up or drops the position.
Yeah.
And
also as a sub, you could put there, okay, I'll go into work Fridays based on my phone.
Well,
Fridays.
It's not even about that. It's just like you look at the day before, or every day you can look at the calendar and see, okay, these positions need to be filled. Pick and choose which positions you're available for. And then other subs will pick up other positions. It's just created like a calendar, and you're like, okay, well, tomorrow is August 1st. We need subs for these 3 campuses in Port Arthur need subs. Well, I'm going to pick up this one for this day, and I'll pick up this one for another day. Or this teacher's going to be out all week. I'm going to take this position for the whole week and I'm going to stay in the same classroom all week.
Mm.
So it's like that. But it's Kelly Services is who does Port Arthur's districts subbing. I'm not sure how everybody else works, but I do know Kelly is who we use.
Oh, okay. All right. Any last tips for the viewers?
Nope, just if this is what you want to do, just if you've got the heart for it, and it's a very rewarding job. High stress, high reward. But for me, I can't picture doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you coming along here.
Absolutely,
and helping.
Reverend, no problem.
All right, guys. If you like what we're doing over here, just go ahead and like, comment, and share the video or podcast, whatever. See you next time.